Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another event recap video. Today we are finally going over the North American National Tournament. I'm finally back home, able to get you guys this info. We've got a decent information for the spread of the top cut. Not everything, but pretty much most of it. I'm really happy. Thanks to Eggman too for gathering a lot of that information and everyone else who helped put that together. Really appreciate it. This is not going to be too much about my experience of the tournament. I did actually do a write-up on Shenron's Lair and my Patreon for free. For those of you that care to read it, I'll put it in the description below. So if you want to get like my opinions on how the tournament was ran or how it went, my personal experience, that'll be down below. I'll also put my deck that I played up on the channel later in the week. Earlier in the week, I will get you guys the decks that topped, decks that did well. I didn't do super hot, so I'll show you guys the deck I played. It's kind of cool, kind of neat, but we'll do that later in the week. First, it'll be up for everyone who succeeded really well in the tournament. Besides that, though, again, not too much experience in the tournament, but I do want to give a huge shout out to my team, Shenron's Lair. Made it an incredible weekend. Really loved every single minute of it with you guys, and I also want to shout out everyone that came out to me at the event. You guys, again, make this so worth it. Like, just meeting you guys, making new friends, talking with you guys about the channel and about the game. Surreal experience. Really appreciate it. And finally, huge shout out to Bearded Collectibles. Seriously the best shop owner and sponsor on the planet. Man, Beard is the best thing for this game, like, and the best thing for our team. He is so awesome. I have set up an affiliate link with him in the description below, so if you want to pre-order set 8 or buy the singles of cards I talk about in this video, make sure to check out his website in the description below. Also, I'm like a TCG player, and also the link to the Patreon is down there. Any of those 3 links will help the channel out greatly. Really appreciate each and every one of you guys that does that for me. But with that being said, we'll get into this top cut breakdown. So starting off, we have 5 yellow Broly in this top cut. And I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, this leader, man, I think about this, and I actually looked it up recently. This leader came out 9 months ago, and ever since then, it's won so many events, and now it can add North American Nationals to that tally list. So the main archetype that we found in top cut was blue-yellow Broly. So there were a few different key things between the different builds. Some of them typical Zapes. So you have like Zeno Button, you have Bardock Raider's Warcry, you have the Goku Black promo, the one that came in the dual color expansion set where it says draw 2, pitch a card at the end of the turn, untap an energy. So that's like kind of the standard build. Then we have some of them mixed with Universe 6. So you have like your one-drop Caulifla, you have your Botamo super combo that you can search, you have your Caulifla Awakened Sister that you can combo into play, sometimes with or without Vados, and Raider's Warcry. So those are kind of the 2 different blue-yellow builds in this top cut. So we had U6 and we had the typical Zapes variant. And this is what ended up winning the event. Shout out to Brian Samuel for winning this event in a finals against Shenron. So Shenron was a bit more under rep than I thought it would be, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But yes, it was a Broly versus Shenron finals. Now, Broly was the pick to get under Shenron. But what I mean by get under is if you want to beat Shenron, typically you have to beat them before their kill turn, because typically it's uninteract with a bull, if that's even a phrase I can say. So you need to get under them, you need to kill them before they get to that turn. Now Shenron makes that very difficult, especially since Raider's Warcry has become so popular in the format. A lot of the builds of Shenron main decked West Kai Keeping Watch or Ultimate Judgment Jocko, which really prevents you from putting on the aggression with Raider's Warcry. Now, the decks are able to adapt with that. You have Yellow Broly, for example. So, Yellow Broly always has Mirror Champa, which once you're able to awaken, which the leader can do on its own terms, you have almost a guaranteed 3 damage as long as the opponent doesn't have any negates for that. And if you have Swift Retaliation Cooler in your main deck, and you're able to get to 4 energy, which is easy to do if you go first against the deck. You go, drop Mira, attack with it. They might Whis Coercion. You play the Cooler, you awaken mid combo, drop the Champa, or you can, drop the Champa on the next attack, however you want to order it. But that's a way to do it to get around their negate attacks, really push your game strong that way. Another thing that these yellow decks were doing, if they had, the U6 engine in the deck, obviously Vados lets you combo a lot of 10k Cauliflas. so that they can only West Kai a certain amount of them. At least one of them will probably stick, and then you're able to put pressure on that way. Or if you're playing the Zapes build, a lot of these guys, what they did was they just arrivaled Bojacks and started attacking with them. It was a way to still get a 20k beat stick on the board without even losing to the West Kai. So they literally just charged the Bardock Apes. Really smart play around that personally I didn't even think of. So I want to congratulate these players again, especially Brian Samuel for getting to the finals and beating Shenron, which a lot of people thought was a tougher matchup, but once you kind of figure it out, it seems like, it can turn around. And one thing I do want to mention actually is last year's Nationals, dominated by Storm, dominated by Janemba, and a bit of Shenron in the top cut, and androids were also at full power. So what it felt like last format was there were many auto loss matchups where Janemba auto lost to Cell Chain, Storm had a tough time against Janemba, Storm auto beat Shenron, things like that, and there wasn't really much you can do to counteract that, mostly because the card pool is a lot smaller. There weren't such great side deck options. But this format, there are favored and unfavored matchups, but it never felt like anything was really unwinnable. Unfavored matchups might feel kind of bad, but if you consider Zapes having a bad matchup against Shenron, it is very winnable, especially with side deck. Side deck has evolved to a point now where I'm really comfortable with it, really happy with it. I feel like there is a really happy medium where you can, play strategies that might struggle against certain things. Now, for example, if hand control was popular again, Janemba has Mercenary Tau, and for Broly in the sideboard, you can sideboard Force Projection Mass Sand to help deal with Shenron ramp. So I really think that matchups did play a role in this Nationals, but not nearly to the degree of last year's Nationals. I do think this Nationals was a lot more skill intensive, but a string of bad matchups could definitely hurt your tournament performance. So just wanted to get that opinion out of the way. Next up, 2 Janemba in top cut. Now, this was a very big showing for blue, red, yellow Janemba. So tricolor Janemba featuring a different color, red. So the other deck in the top cut was the typical Guy Janemba. Actually, the creator of the deck, Daehan Hardesty, he played the tricolor Janemba, and he actually saw success with a really cool tech option, which was Piccolo. I believe it's a simulated ability from Draft Box 4. So seeing a lot of success with that, you just kind of jam it on turn 4. I don't know if you played Zeno button in the list, but that would be a good way to kind of jam it and not get punished for it. Or you typically hold your Awaken until turn 4, so you play the 4-drop, you Awaken, you have 2 energy for defense, and you can Dimension Magic to get more energy back up. That's a really solid tech. Also, shout out to my teammate Pat O'Neill for making a second Nationals top in a row with his version of American Janemba, or red, yellow, blue Janemba. This type of build just takes advantage of Topo, but you also get really aggressive cards like Digging Deep Vegeta and Sankaba in your main deck to help against the Shenron matchup. So that was pretty cool. Shout out to Pat again for that awesome finish. And he doubted his own deck for a long while there because it wasn't really established in the format. He kind of just wanted to put it together, tested it a lot, and I'm really proud that he was able to get the results he wanted to get. Next up, 2 Pan in the top cut. Again, shout out to Tim Palacios and the other Pan player, Eric. We are going to get both their deck profiles on the channel, I believe, tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Pan, man, I think it's one of the most consistent red decks you can play in the game, and it really takes advantage of Topo very well. As far as red's concerned, Topo is a defining card for that color, and Pan, they really mitigate the neg off of Topo, because what you're able to do is, negate, you have to pitch a card as a cost for Topo. Pan will boost Topo. You get to draw back the card, so it's really like you didn't neg anything. You just hard casted Topo for 2 and negated your opponent's entire turn, basically. So Pan takes really good advantage of that, and it makes it one of the strongest decks. Of course, you have Chain Zeno, which is a Pan staple, and it really helps the deck out a lot. I mean, you have an auto reset whenever you need it. You have one of the strongest negates in the game, Topo, which is arguably a better Nimbus, and you have tons of strong cards like Dignity Vegeta, Familial Bonds, and it's just a really solid deck. Fearless Pan as well, amazing game ender, so no surprise that Pan was so prevalent in this top cut. Shenron only at 2 slots, complemented by 1 Purunga, so pretty much as far as ramp is concerned, 3 slots in the top cut. I am actually surprised by this. I thought it would be a much higher representation in this top cut. Now, a lot of people were hedging their bets and played aggro for this event, some type of aggressive strategy, which is what I did, and we thought we'd be able to really beat the Shenron players really easily. But one thing that I mentioned before that did really define this tournament, another tournament defining card, West Kai keeping watch. Now that really halted a lot of the ape strategies that really didn't know the play around, like I mentioned before, just like arrivaling Bojacks and attacking, playing other threats to really threaten them. But Broly probably was the best choice to get under it, because Broly is such a diverse leader in terms of making anything into a threat, making anything into a dual attack threat. really strong stuff, as well as, you know, like a early source of power, early digging deep. If you're playing red, you're able to really hand it to the Shenron players. You're able to be really aggressive. So I guess 3 ramp isn't too surprising after factoring all that in. I think just going into the tournament, I would have expected more of it to be so prevalent. I thought they would have had the answers. I do want to say, I think the one biggest mistake that Shenron players made going into this event, not maining or siding Crisis Crusher. Now, I don't know every single list. I don't know if every list did or didn't side it, but I know for the most part, Crisis Crusher is a very overlooked card. And cards like Sand Kaba, cards like Intensifying Power Trunks, cards like Black Power and Black Mass Sand put in a ton of work against Shenron this weekend. So I do want to mention that Crisis Crusher was usually looked at as a Shenron mainboard staple, but now it's kind of fallen off. I think they'll probably come back to maining that card if the deck doesn't get destroyed by the ban list. And next up, we have 1 Hurrigarden top cut. Pretty cool to see. Blue-green Hurrigarden featuring the new Zamasu stuff. This is just a very strong hand control build. Your leader is blue, so you're not as affected by Mercenary Tau. You have consistent board clear. You have consistent hand control. Really cool deck. Hurrigarden, still one of the strongest leaders in the game, just based off of its generic ability to see cards and the backside's ability to keep your opponent's hand size at a comfortable middle ground for you. Really cool to see this deck top again. It had one top cut at another tournament. I forget which one it is at this very moment, but strong deck nonetheless. Then we have 1 Skilless in this top cut. I don't have the information on what exact build it was, but I do know the player, and I will have him on this channel within the week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But again, Skilless is just a very consistent deck. The deck is very aggressive. I mean, I learned that myself when I played it at the ARG Invitational. You can get underneath Shenron, and again, if people aren't playing Crisis Crusher, if people aren't playing striving to be the best on Goku because they're more afraid of apes, Skilless does have a pretty solid advantage there because, you know, you're not hindered by the same side deck cards that hinder apes, which is the most popular aggro strategy. So pretty cool again to see Skilless in this slot. Then we have 1 Clash of Fates Goku. Again, a deck that can pivot between aggro and defense. You know, against Shenron, you can arrival in a ton of strong double strikers, big threats. On defense, you have things like Preemptive Strike, you have things like Vegeta the Cruel, and you have Arrival that pops battle cards on defense. So a good deck to pivot. Kind of clunky on 10Ks, but red-green as a strategy is getting a ton of great support in set 8. So moving into that, I think this is a great deck to pick up. I think this is a great deck to keep experimenting with. The Chi-Chi combo card, the Bulma that dumps a Dormant Legend to the drop area. Really good cards to experiment with. Definitely recommend it. And finally, guys, 1 Deme Gras in this top 16. So I know several more made top 32, but in the top 16 we had 1. And this is a new aggro strategy on the competitive scene. This deck is actually super cool. I didn't know too much about it before going into Nationals. I knew it was serious. I knew it was a deck you want to watch out for, but I really hadn't seen someone play it to mastery level until I saw it at Nationals. And this deck is so aggressive. And it's not really hindered by things like striving to be the best. Not super hindered by things like Crisis Crusher, although that can kind of stall your awaken a little bit. But this deck is seriously aggressive. I like it a lot. I want to actually experiment with this myself going forward. Really strong aggro pick. All you really need if you don't have Vegeta time regulators, as far as I know, you don't need them, especially if you play the black-blue version with Senzu Bean. All you really need is the promo out of the Magnificent Collection to get your deck started. But overall, guys, that's top 16 of this event. Really cool. I do want to mention this format is basically over now, and I think it's a really cool note to end on, ending the set 7 format in the national scene. That's really cool. Soon we're getting set 8, and we will be getting set 8 before any of the next Pro Play tours come up. So stay tuned for that. I'll be talking about that all over this channel leading up to that release. But Nationals, man, great time, great experience, great tournament, and I was so happy to meet all you guys there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys can take this information and help yourself move into the next format. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.